VO Radio would like to know, are you a fan of YouTube? Introducing VO Radio Live Tubies.
When I wake up every day, I get on YouTube and check the front page. I scroll, and what do I see? Oh, what a surprise.
Be sure to send your email to ask@voradioonline.com. Now it's time for this week's VO Tubi on VO Radio and YouTube.
Hello, and welcome aboard, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another episode of VO Tubi here on VO Radio. Hey, we're simulcasting. That means you can also hear and listen to it over the VO Radio platform worldwide, he said in his peaky voice. We are streaming this over YouTube visually and over our VO Tubi live/Tubi's webpage. You can find on the website. You can also find us by going to VO Radio. Just type it on YouTube, and VO Radio's channel will come up, and you click on the live tab and all that fun stuff. So you can listen, you can watch, you can participate, you can zoom in. We got Russell coming in soon. We got Richard coming in soon. We got Kathleen Task coming in soon. Give me air. I need to start wearing oxygen. Anyways, a lot of great things happening. You can contact us through zooming in, calling in, and or texting 970-682-3424. I know that's hard to remember. 970-682-3424. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way with snail mail by ask@VO Radio Online. Joining me, of course, as usual, in the co-pilot and pilot and navigator seat or whatever we're doing here is Miss Bev Standing. Thank you, Bev. And also Stacy Barrow. Bev Standing's feature, by the way, is from Inside the Booth. You got to check that out. Really great information. And Stacy Barrow, of course, her feature on VO Radio is top of mind. And also she shares a lot of great stuff for beginner, intermediate, even advanced talent that you should have top of mind when you're embarking in your career day to day. So we're going to get things rolling. I'm going to go ahead and let things get shared so we can hear the playback out there somewhere here. There we go. And we are going to get things kicked in and go to our very first listener email. But before that, I want to thank our sponsors as usual. The VoiceOver Extra, the VoiceOver Resource Guide, or VORG, the VoiceOver Collective, and no, it ain't the Nava, but we'll say Nava instead. And also, pretty soon, we'll be able to say Encava. So all kinds of stuff coming up on that I'll be able to share later. So anyways, meanwhile, let's go ahead and go for it and get things started right away.
You're listening to VO Radio. The views, opinions, and insights shared are not necessarily those of other panelists, guests, and contributors on VO Radio and its broadcast programs. Advice, tips, opinions, and legal suggestions are based on industry experience of the individual co-host, panelist, guest, or contributor. These opinions and comments are not endorsed by or verified by VO Radio and its operators. Listener discretion is advised.
If you're like most voice talent today, you're wondering various things relating to your voiceover career. Well, VO Radio has your answers. Here's more questions answered by our panelists live.
Listen and learn. Internet radio for the voice artist, just like you.
All right, so we know what time that means. It is time to go into the listener email box. Stacey, why don't you reach down deep and grab out some email and tell me what we're going to say?
Okay, wait, I need that sound effect. That's my attempt at Foley. Okay, digging deep. What do we have here? What are we going to talk about? Okay, we have Mason from Arizona, and their question is, how can we best negotiate a rate with prospects? Ooh, Mason, that's a good one. How can we best negotiate a rate with prospects?
That's really good.
Anthony, why don't you kick us off with that? Because
good. We're going to take a quick break now. We'll be back in just a minute. No, first of all, Russell, welcome. Kathleen, good to see you. And somebody else was in there and bailed. Hopefully you'll come back in and join us here pretty soon. I'm going to say really quickly, that's it. The key word is negotiate. or negotiate, depending on how you want to enunciate that. That is like the old school car salesman. If you want to remember back in the day, my cousin owned car lots, and that was the big thing. They were one of the very first chains to offer that no haggle deal, where you go to the car lot and the price was on the windshield and you went with what the price was. But back in the day, you had to negotiate. You had to haggle the price. You could go into the dealership and you could actually knock down, doing your research, what the value of the car was, and you could negotiate with them. Well, as a voiceover talent, what the typical rates are that are charged by other talent in the industry. Depending on your level of journey, if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced talent, that's where you really want to think about what's my hourly rate? What's my worth? What am I trying to get out of what I do? And then at that point, you can have a starting point to negotiate. So that's quickly a little input. Bev, what do you think about this subject?
I learned very early on when I started with Gravy for the Brain, best advice I've ever heard. What's your budget?
Right.
Because the people you're dealing with, and you do less talking. I'd love to work with you. What is your budget? What's the usage? How long are you going to use it for? Where is it going to air? What's your budget? What are you working with? How can I best accommodate you and work within your budget without giving a number for as long as you possibly can? Because they already have a budget in mind. And if you came in and said, well, I've looked at the GVAA rate guide, I've looked at, I've looked at the Gravy for the Brain rate guide, and it says 250 to 5. So I'm going to say 3. And they're like, oh, we had 5, but sure, 3's good. So, it's really important to, if you can go in with that, that's the best way to negotiate, is say, hey, I work with industry standard rates, but I also appreciate that you have a guide that you have to work with. Let's see if we can work together. What's your budget?
Right. That's really good.
That enough times.
Very valuable, and like we're saying, basically, it depends on where you're at this point in your career. You're never going to get the same rate. Obviously you can, but good luck with that. As somebody who has dozens of credits, have a really high-end polished website, has really killer demos, and they are basically presenting themselves like an A-lister, if you will. If you're not presenting yourself in such a light, they're going to treat you like you look. In other words, if you seem like a fiver, bottom feeder, low dough talent, because you don't have anything but your freebie profile at one of the pay-to-plays, and you don't really have demos, and they're going to read into the tea leaves, and they're going to say, I can get this girl and this guy for $1. And the old cliche saying is, we'll work for food. So it really has a lot to do with how you present your image too. But like Bev nailed it with that, man. You want to know what their budget is. You also want to consider, are they local? Is it regional? Do they have one location? Is it for multiple locations? Do they have one bar? Do they have a chain of bars? What is their status and the usage and all that fun stuff? So, oh my God, we can spend forever on this. Stacy, what you thinking, Stacy?
Can I just add, you also want to know who the end client is. If the end client is Coke versus local heating company,
right,
they're just going to have a bigger budget. I'll go back to, what's your budget?
Right.
And I love that question, actually. That's been my savior, that question, what's your budget? Because yes, it gets them talking about their project. Right. And, you can find middle ground. It may not be, the biggest rate or whatever, but again, it depends, like Bev said, who's the end user. If they're a bigger client, it never hurts to ask, can you do such and such? You know what I mean? And then maybe you meet somewhere in the middle. An interesting thing that I'm discovering is that I might get approached by somebody, I'm making a documentary, or I'm making a film and it's going to go to film festivals or something. And actually, they don't know the end usage. I mean, they have hopes for their creative project, but that's kind of an interesting, situation that I'm learning, that, to have some kind of verbiage in there, or even video games. You know what I mean? Like, I have one that I'm working with, and they're on a wish list on Steam, and they're doing very, very good. And we collaborated, and they say like, oh, if it does really well, but really, who measures that? You got to have something in writing if you can, even if it's loose, or have somebody help you with that too. It's a very interesting situation.
Really cool points, everybody. And you know what? One thing I will throw at the listeners and the viewers out there is, I do it with my casting stuff when I talk with a client or prospect about the project, and I do it not as often now as I used to do it, because now I know this is what I'm going to get from you. And I don't typically work with public anymore because I have my own clientele. So I work with regulars I've been using and working with for years. But what I recommend to students and talent who want to know how to address this kind of a thing is create a template for yourself, a form, a template, and literally on a Word doc, and save it out as a PDF and have it printed out for every prospect that comes down the pipe. Basically, you can go from the top of the form to the bottom, and you can ask them, what's it being used for? How many locations do you have? Blah, blah, blah. Question them. And then by the time you get to the very end of the form, it can be simply one page with 12, 15 different questions you can ask them, or you can fill it in yourself if you can't physically talk with them. You can go off the specs or the audition or the particulars of the spec, and you can the audition, and you can actually fill it in. That gives you a bottom at the very end. Estimated quote is what I used to use. And I did it for years and it worked great. And what I did was it allowed me every project, like Bev was saying, to work within what is that particular clientele's potential. What are they? Are they one location? Are they mom and pop? Are they national? Are they regional? And if it is like Stacey was saying, if it is a project that you don't know, they're not positive, put to be determined, TBD in the what's it being used for, application or market or whatever. It helps really become a good guide that you get into. People don't understand. They look at a project that comes in and they go, well, I think I can do this. And they think of their time input, their labor, and their studio 10% they want to add for their overhead. But they don't think about going through a question and answer type of inquisitive questions. I'm doing a casting with a client. I'll run down the list with the client. How many leads are there? How many secondary roles? Is it okay to have multiple characters from one talent? And I'll break all that down as I go. And by the time I get to the very end, I have a pretty good idea of what I need to charge, what the budget has to be based upon how many talent are going to be involved. Is it a small cast like The Simpsons that can do multiple voices? Or do I need a lot of international one-off type of voice talent that becomes a bigger cast, meaning a bigger budget? Bev, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I want to just say your question, Mason, is how can we best negotiate a rate with prospects?
Right.
I think the one line answer is be informed of what industry standard is. Be informed how, we've kind of branched out and told you different things, and different things cost more and clients charge more and less. And I think the bottom line is you have to be informed. You can't go in and negotiate if you don't have that information.
Exactly.
So go in knowing what the rates are for local, regional, national. Know what the rates are for e-learning. Know what the rates are. Now, Anthony, you mentioned something really important and you kind of slid over it. It's like you said, hourly rate. Think of yourself as an employee in an office. Every year you get an incremental raise. So every year you've trained, every session you've been coached, every job you've done is a little notch in your I can do this chart. So when you're looking at saying 250 to 5 and you want to go 250, think back. How much work have you put into to get here? How confident are you? You can give them what they want. Don't start at 250. Give yourself some credit that you can do this.
Exactly.
If you can do it, you've never done anything, go with a lower amount if that's what you feel that you're offering them is a lower quality product. But if you're not offering lower quality, why are you charging less?
That's right. Well said. I have a feeling you've done this before, Bev Standing. I'm not sure what you're hearing out there, but
we talk a lot about it on Gravy. So yeah, I've got lots of info.
For sure, man. Stacey, final thoughts before we let our participants give their few breaks, and then we'll go to a break ourselves.
Yeah. It's still fuzzy to me, the TBD part. Is it typical for games that you basically get paid for what you've done and you're done with it? I think so. You know what I mean? And then if it blows up and it becomes super big, well, you did your part. Is that basically how it is?
Yeah, we just had this discussion the other night, so I know what you're saying, and I bet
Mhm.
Bev will give a comment too. Is it really depends on non-union versus union for one, the client, are they willing to offer you a resid, how many units or how many distributions are going to allow them to run with the product, how many markets. When I used to do a couple of international projects years ago, before Lebanon and all these in Israel and everybody blew apart, I had a lot of licensing restrictions. They could only use it in this market, and that market, and this market, and that market. As they told me, these are the markets they're gonna sell it in. As they added a new market, we had a 10%, I think it was 10 or 12% additional fee per market. So when they entered into a new market, I would get an invoice from 2 cent to them that would be 12% of the original cost, and I would distribute that amongst the cast. And eventually, that's how I helped get us extra money every time it ran a new market. But they were non-union projects, non-union studios, but they ethically and morally would agree. Bev, what's your experience in that? It's a good question, Stacy.
I think it, like you said, it all comes down to when you're negotiating, you're stating what it is.
Mhm.
I think it's important to know if you don't have a full out contract that you have an email back and forth that is, asked and answered in writing as
Right.
to where it's being used and for how long. And I think the and for how long. So something that's saying, well, we don't know, we might use it later. Great.
Right.
Well, you know what? It's this much for this long. If you continue to use it after that, then we'll renegotiate.
Right, exactly. Let's go ahead, Stacy, real quick. No, go for
That's
it.
such a good, like, relevant
It
topic.
is.
And also, that scope of work contract on the Novice site is very helpful,
Mm,
and it helps fill in some of those blanks, in my opinion, a little better than the work for hire contract that may not be specific to voiceover. So you want to try to be as specific as possible. And again, like Anthony just said, end dates and things like that. So,
yep.
to at least
Really
start with
cool.
something more specific.
Really cool. Hey, let's go with Russell and Kathleen as a new talent, somewhat in the industry. What is your takeaway from this question, Russell?
So to be honest with you, it's because I've been so new. I'll be totally honest. I have not had a lot of pushback to negotiate because it's been mostly on me sending them out already some pre-quoted material. I've been kind of spearheading it on my own to just trying to figure out what I can do, where I can do it, and I think I'm gonna go with what Bev has been saying about the negotiation. I think the negotiation part is perfect, and the way that she put it was spot on. Not giving the budget, not actually saying something. I'm going to change my theme of how I should be explaining what I would expect to be paid for my work.
Right. That's a good point. Way to say that. Kathleen, what are you thinking about this?
Actually, I was just going to echo what Beth said because I learned through Gravy for the Brain that it is that budget, and also to kind of just, dig in and find out the end use as others have said. So I don't really have that much to contribute, but I do know that, budget is very important to know.
Awesome. Well said. Bev Standing, why don't you tell us a little bit about Gravy for the Brain and how people can potentially find out more about that before we break?
Oh, it's easy. Gravyforthebrain.com. We are global. You will, if you want to sign up, you can do a monthly, you can do an annual, and I think they've been having specials where you can do an unlimited forever, be our member, and you have mentoring, you have webinars, you have socials, we have fun, we learn, and and so if you're a Canadian member, you share in the US and the UK and the everything. So it's a wonderful platform. I prefer to call it GFTV, but it is called Gravy for the Brain.
GFTB. Oh, Gravy for the Brain. Duh.
It's the Brits. I always joke that two Brits in the bar, and there's
Good.
more to it than that. But yeah.
Good stuff. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Make sure you want to zoom in, you can just by going to the Zoom information located on the live Tubi's page or on the Let's Talk VO page if you're listening through the broadcast. And you can also Zoom call in. So if you don't want to be a video, you can use the Zoom numbers to call in. You can text us and you can email us and all kinds of good stuff. So, and later on, we're going to be doing that Who's That Voice? And you want to stick around because you'll have a chance to win about $159 online course course, from moi at VO 101 this week alone. So stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. So here we go.
VO Radio would like to know, are you a fan of YouTube? Introducing VO Radio Live Tubies.
When I wake up every day, I get on YouTube and check the front page. I scroll, and what do I see? Oh, what a surprise.
VO Tubi on VO Radio and YouTube.
Hey everybody, NAVA President Tim Friedlander here with your NAVA News Minute Update. The SAG-AFTRA interactive strike is still making progress with AI protections in video games, and NAVA was excited to host a live town hall with some of the members of the Interactive Agreement Negotiating Committee. If you want to rewatch the town hall to learn more about the video game strike, you can do so on our website at navavoices.org under the Resources tab. NAVA debuted a new Best Practices for Kids in VO page this month, which includes resources for parents and a new contract writer just for minors. We are so excited to be a part of VO Atlanta this year, and we'll be hosting a special NAVA panel. Check out all the classes taught by our amazing board members, and visit us at our sponsor table all weekend long. We're also thrilled to announce that we awarded 5 VO Atlanta scholarships this year. Special thanks to Joe Zija and Jennifer Sunbell for donating 2 of those scholarships. And finally, we're continuing to make headway on AI legislation at the state and federal levels. Thank you to everyone for all your support. To find out more info on NAVA, visit our website at navavoices.org. Thanks a lot.
Internet radio for voiceover talent at any level.
Have you done it yet? Downloaded the new VO Radio app? If not, check out the new apps we created that are now for iPhone and Android.
I'm sorry, operator, I can't hear you. I'm trying to use the phone!
Now you can listen to VO Radio anytime, 24/7 worldwide on your phone.
Are you not entertained?
Download the new VO Radio app from our app section of the website.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Or click on the app link located on the player window, VO Radio apps. They're here for you. Download yours today.
Whether a beginner or veteran voice talent, there's something for everyone. This is VO Radio.
You've tapped the stream. This is VO Radio. Something for voiceover talent of all levels all week long.
Monday.
Let's Talk VO Live, Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
Tuesday.
Encore broadcast of Let's Talk VO Live, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Live VO Tubies, Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And Saturday and Sunday all day long, 24/7 broadcast. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is VO Radio. Listen, learn, and win.
When I wake up every day, I get on YouTube and check the front page. I scroll, and what do I see? Oh, what a surprise.
Now it's time for this week's VO Tubi on VO Radio and YouTube.
All right, welcome back to VO Tubi. You know what? I just really rock out and get into the music that we have on all the promos. And it reminded me of one of the reasons why we have VO Radio in the first place is because, you know, we have music and positive information that just peps you up because we're all working throughout the day. We're alone in our booths and what have you. And that's the beauty of this radio station. It lifts you up. And now we're live on all these different platforms. So now not only can you stream and hear us and feel good, you can see us too. And you can see us now on Let's Talk VO, our live show on Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, as well as here on Tubi, of course, like right now, 11 a.m. Eastern. And it's so fun because we have so many people that pop on and join us, and it makes it interesting because, again, we want to talk about what you want to talk about. So we've got Russell, we've got Tass, and we've also got Bev Standing and Anthony Reese, and of course myself, Stacey Barrow. So I'd like to thank our sponsors. We've got The Vorg, The VoiceOver Extra, The VoiceOver Collective, and NAVA. And don't forget, you can text us to join us at 970-682-3424. And again, that's 970-682-3424. You can always email us at ask@voradioonline.com, or you can Zoom in or call in using the information from our website. Just find our Live Tubies page, and it's all there. So, okay, I'm ready for the next question. Let's take a question.
You're listening to VO Radio. The views, opinions, and insights shared are not necessarily those of other panelists, guests, and contributors on VO Radio and its broadcast programs. Advice, tips, opinions, and legal suggestions are based on industry experience of the individual co-host, panelist, guest, or contributor. These opinions and comments are not endorsed by or verified by VO Radio and its operators. Listener discretion is advised.
If you're like most voice talent today, you're wondering various things relating to your voiceover career. Well, VO Radio has your answers. Here's more questions answered by our panelists live.
Listen and learn. Internet radio for the voice artist, just like you.
Awesome. Hey, I want to quickly throw in, thank you, Glenn, for writing in. Glenn said on the website, looking at things, I can't believe the stuff I didn't know you just did. Tell me more about this What's Your Story thing. Are we allowed to actually be on the air with you guys telling our story? Yes, that's exactly what What's Your Story is. Thank you for looking at that. What's Your Story is your opportunity to share with us and the viewers and listeners around the world your story. Basically, we want to know about you as a voiceover talent. We have our VIP guests every Wednesday, like Jessica Ballou was just with us. And we have one coming up every Wednesday for Here to Eternity, thanks to Stacey Bear, who's booking all these VIPs. But on Mondays, we're going to start kicking back in here as soon as we can, the What's Your Story segment, where we actually take about 15 minutes and we interview a voiceover talent at random who submits that form and lets us know they want to be featured. So yes, you can be part of that What's Your Story. So check that out, all of you. You'll find more information about it throughout the website, and just go to listeners down to participate and click on What's Your Story. So anyways, I'll hand it back to you, Stacey, if you want to go ahead and set us up for our next question here.
Okay. And you know what? I'm so lucky that I get to find VIP guest speakers or guest interview people. I'm selfishly motivated because I want to hear what they have to say. You know what I mean? So I'm like, who do I want to meet? You know, it's so fun. So if there's someone that you want to meet, let me know. You know, reach out to the station, reach out to me. And if there's someone like you'd like to see as a VIP guest, let me know. Okay, let's see here. What have we got? Let me open my Foley bag. Okay, that was half schmass there. Okay.
The problem is they can see now that we're just crumbling.
I know, that's the fun. Well, okay, Shay from Georgia. Are there specific trainers in voiceovers? If so, what kind? Mm-hmm. Oh, Shay, that's a good question. Okay. Are there specific trainers in voiceovers? And if so, what kind? Okay. Well, you know what? The bucket is big on that one.
Yeah.
You know, if it's as simple and as complex as you want it to be, there's some that teach everything. There's some that are genre specific. Maybe they do just animation because that's what they specialize in. Or, for example, I just met the other day because I had a question about a kind of an accent or something. Tom Antonellis, you know, he's dialect focused.
Right.
So there's some that focus on video games. There's some that, you know, focus only on commercial, and it runs so deep. There's some at every level that you're at. There's some just for marketing. There's some just for the business aspect. There's some just for your website. It's as specialized as you want to go. And right. I'll pass the baton to Bev on that.
Sure. And you know what, it's a great question. When you're just starting out, you go, where do I start?
Right.
Where do I start? And you know, when you can, a perfect example is VO Atlanta is coming up. I believe you can see it virtually, but you can also go. And when you go into these sections and you listen to the people talking that are hiring, you get a feel for, you know, how they might teach. And that's important too, because as Stacey said, it's per genre. A lot of times there are people that coach in everything, But when you're starting out, you need someone who can teach you about your studio. Not necessarily about marketing yet. You want to get performance because you can't market yourself till you have a demo. Like there's a step to it. So your first would be get your sound right. Second is get your reads right. And then third would perhaps be marketing. And I'd say in that order. And yes, there are different levels. You want to coach with the best of the best if you're ready to compete with the best of the best. When you're just starting out and want something on online casting, you need to perhaps be coaching with someone that's going to teach you narration and non-broadcast. It's different. It's just different. I'll come back to being part of Gravy for the Brain. GVAA, I'm not part of GVAA, but they also offer that. VO Boss, there's lots of groups that you can join and get to know the people that they bring in as guests. Nava, Kava, we bring in guests for you to listen to, and that will give you a better idea of exactly who is out there.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely say for sure. And if you are interested in potentially working with a new coach or finding the right coach that fits your particular situation, that's what VO Radio is all about. We are contributors who are part of the industry. We have experience almost 35, 40 years in the business. You can go to the VORadioOnline.com website and go to the resources section of the site. And all the coaches that are participating in the broadcast features on our show who offer training and demo production, you name it, are listed there. So definitely patronize, rather the word will be, the voiceover people that are a part of the program here at VO Radio. But Gravy for the Brain, VO Boss, I mean, you can go to Nava. There's all kinds of great resources to find good coaches. So with that self-plug out of the way, I definitely could agree totally with what Stacey and Bev were saying, of course, as usual. We all have to understand where we're at very beginning. If you're a beginner, there's coaches like Christy Bowen at TNVO, whatever, it's Tennessee Voice Studios. She teaches at VoiceOver 101, playing on my VO 101. She teaches a introduction to VoiceOver 101 type of class. There is Kathy Verduin, who's also part of the VO show, as well as Christy, who do that. She does an introduction to VoiceOver, and then she sends me and other coaches, students who want to pursue it further. So like Bev was saying, you have beginner coaches who specialize in helping you launch, where to go, making sure you're trained properly what direction to head in, so you don't just run around in the dark with your eyes closed. And there are other coaches who are intermediate coaches who work with you on more technical type of stuff. Then there are coaches that are advanced coaches. So not to be redundant, but the reality is there are general coaches, beginner, intermediate, advanced, and there are even coaches who have the ability to teach old dogs new tricks, people that want to refresh themselves in the industry. I work with a lot of people who refer to me out of LA and out of whatever that have been in business for 15, 20 years, and they feel like they're burned out. They're not getting any new work. They're not competitive in a millennial-based industry these days in a global market. And they feel like they're stuck in that old school way of voicing. And I help them refresh, even if it means creating a whole new alias, a whole new image, rebranding them in general. And they go out in the market under a pseudonym and they become new talent in the eyes of the industry. So there's all kinds of people that specialize in branding and imaging and, like you said, website design and coaching, animation coaching, gaming coaching, broadcast coaching, narration coaching. So kind of tangent off a bit, but there's so many opportunities. So don't just think you're stuck in Kansas. You can definitely find coaches and trainers like Bev and others that specialize in narration. I think at VO Atlanta, that's what your workshop is, right? Beginner narration stuff?
Yeah, I'm doing an X session on that. Yeah. And you know, one of the advantages of an X session, and I have done a number of X sessions over the years at various conferences, and the reason I do it, and the reason I go to Jay Michaels' retreats is because I'm in a room with maybe 12 other people, sometimes 6, and I get to hear how other people are coached. I get to hear what they do and what that's trained me to do, and I truly believe it's helped me over the long run. Is it's helped develop my ear, not just for your read, but for my own, right? And how to redirect if you're starting to hear things, as opposed to just reading and being directed back on a one-on-one. When I was starting out, hearing what other people were doing and how that was redirected was hugely beneficial for me.
Really cool. Stacy, thought?
I'm always jumping out of my chair. I'm like,
Fighting it
I
a
get so
bit.
excited,
She's such a sponge for training and tips, and she loves because that's what it's all about. And that's why you are in talent. I'm not just saying this to smooze and schmooze one of our own, but Stacey's career has progressed so great over the last 4 to 5 years as she's been doing this, from a very much of a beginner who didn't know where she was headed, to the point of where now she has very much a wisdom base. She knows what she knows now, and she understands what she's doing because along the way, she has been a sponge. She has been feeling and getting as much information in the noggin as she can. And that's what I would share with anybody listening and watching is don't be afraid to allow yourself to basically be a pupil of the art form. Don't be afraid to allow yourself to diversify specialty coaches, targeted coaches, all-around coaches, people that work on just dialect and accents and business end of it all. Don't even be afraid to step outside, if you will, of the voiceover industry and study self-employment business, tips and taxes and accounting and all the stuff that helps you run a business as an entrepreneur. So don't be afraid to attend seminars and consultations with people that aren't just directly in the voiceover industry. Kind of a weird plug, I know, but it came to my mind. So hopefully.
One last thought on that, and that's do your homework.
Right.
Russell won a prize on this show. He's won an hour with me, so we did a 15-minute chat beforehand, which I truly believe you should do, whether it's a demo producer or a coach of any sort. If you don't get along, if you can't hit it off, how are you going to learn? You're going to be on edge. You're going to be uptight. You're going to be like, oh, I don't agree with it. There's so many reasons, but you have to be comfortable to be able to, let your hair down, cry if you have to, scream if you have to, be able to ask the questions comfortably, and know that you're going to be respected back. And most coaches were, but there's a lot of coaches that are hanging out their shingle these days. And some of them have less experience than a lot of people.
Right. Don't worry. We run the disclaimer, so we're covered.
It's just do your homework. Do your homework. Ask somebody. Hey, go on
references? Right.
Has anyone coached with Anthony Reese? Can we chat privately? Don't publicly out anybody or even publicly boast anybody. Have a private conversation, because how they're coached is private. So have a conversation. Is what did you like? What didn't you like? Thank you very much. Next.
Right. Very cool. And we just talked with Jessica, plugging her again, Jessica Blue. I think she brought up this comment, or D. Alvis did during his questioning with her. But that was what they hinted at, was there's a lot of people out there now on LinkedIn. And I'll say it, I'm not afraid. The reality is there's a lot of people out there we call posers. They're not really, they shouldn't have the credibility and the experience to be coaching you, because somebody has to be able to be a good coach, has to be able to have been there, done that. They have to have been able to walk the walk before they can talk the talk, using a cliche. There are a lot of sharks in the water swimming up there. So make sure, like Bev hammered home, you do your research. You look at references. You look at their website, see if they have references. If they don't post testimonies like I do and others of their prior students, or references that you can contact directly and Google your name when you see it, then there's something to be said about that. References go a long way. Not that they're all going to be great, but the reality is at least you can gauge where you're headed with who you're picking to and be mentored and trained by. And the key word there, again, is mentor. There's a lot of coaches and trainers, but you really want a mentor's circle who are going to stick with you through your career, not just one-offs, drain your debit card or your kid's college fund, and then, sorry, you're out of money, I can't work with you, buy another lesson. If they're willing to work with you and take your emails for free and give you feedback once in a while, like me and Bev and everybody do, and Deb Moreau, then you're with a, what they call in the Brother We're Out that movie, bona fide. They are legitimately not just after the almighty dollars. So any final thoughts? How about a quick feedback from either Kathleen or Russ, and give us your feeling on, have you run into this so far as a new talent yourself? What's your thoughts? Either one of you want to run with it?
Sure. So again, being so new, I haven't had a lot of private coaching. My time with Bev, I know you, Bev, you just said maybe not so much to boast, but you're amazing.
Yeah.
She really helped me open up about a lot of things that normally I wouldn't open up about. And I found that brought a lot out as I auditioned by myself throughout the day. Coaching, I used to be of the mindset primarily because, I have great gear, but I was one of those, I'll openly admit, I made a mistake. At first, I threw my money and, at everything I could, trying to make sure that I had good gear and everything in place before I took the training. I did take the training. I've gone through Joe Zizha's voice acting academy and have completed it. But up until that point, I made mistakes along the way. And as I was able to open up, it really helped me even that first day. And that wasn't even my session. So yeah, I think coaching is fantastic. Finding the right coach is fantastic. And probably the most important part so far in my career.
Awesome. Good feedback. Kathleen?
Well, as I had mentioned, I am a member of Gravy for the Brain.
There you go.
There's a lot of great instructors on that. I have attended a couple of the VO Atlanta conferences, and I just kind of, listen to see if there's somebody that I'm liking what I'm hearing, that I think they can be helpful in what I'm pursuing. And also what I had heard from, other coaches or sessions is that the coach has to kind of resonate with you, and that was mentioned before. That is just so important. You're not going to get along with everybody. One coach is not going to be the best for you. So just, research and listen. So that's how I have approached
Really
it.
cool. Hey, to wrap it up before we take a break here quickly, something that triggered just on my mind is make sure that you work with a coaching style that fits your style. There's something to be said about different coaches have different styles and philosophies. So make sure you do pick coaches that you feel like click with what your needs are and are willing to mold their coaching to fit your particular style and your voice and your goals and your aspirations. So all that jazz. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Another listener has just joined in with us, Jamie Hill. We're going to get feedback from Jamie and when we come back in block 3. So stick around. We're going to get things rolling here as we go. You're listening to VO2B simulcast over the VO radio platform as well as across YouTube. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
VO Radio would like to know, are you a fan of YouTube? Introducing VO Radio Live Tubies.
When I wake up every day, I get on YouTube and check the front page. I scroll, and what do I see? Oh, what a surprise.
VO Tubi on VO Radio and YouTube.
This is Christy Bowen with the Tennessee VoiceOver Studios News Minute. The big news dominating the voiceover industry are the LA fires and the amazing relief efforts by our community. The NAVA Foundation has set up a CAL FIRE Relief Fund that is collecting donations to help those in need. Other groups from around the country have also set up equipment donation drives, offered discounted or free recording spaces, and so much more. Please help if you can. Voice actors are sounding the alarm that a site called 101 Soundboards is using unauthorized AI versions of their voices without consent, compensation, or control. This egregious behavior underscores the need for federal protections of our voices. NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors, is working on the issue on behalf of our industry. VO Atlanta has released the schedule for the March 20th through 23rd conference taking place at the Hilton Atlanta Airport again this year. As of January 18th, small group X sessions will also be available for purchase. This year's keynote speaker is Amari Williams. This has been your VO Radio Online News Minute brought to you by Tennessee VoiceOver Studios. To find out more about classes, demo production, and private coaching, visit our website, tnvoiceoverstudios.com.
You've tapped the stream. This is VO Radio, something for voiceover talent of all levels all week long.
Monday.
Let's Talk VO Live, Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
Tuesday.
encore broadcast of Let's Talk VO live Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Live VO Tubies Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And Saturday and Sunday all day long, 24/7 broadcast. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is VO Radio. Listen, learn, and win.
When I wake up every day, I get on YouTube and check the front page. I scroll, and what do I see? Oh, what a surprise.
Now it's time for this week's VO Tubi on VO Radio and YouTube.
She's muted.
Live radio.
I was so ready. I was singing. And anyway.
You sang so well in my mind.
Thank you. I get so excited doing these shows. Everybody involved with VO Online Radio is just, it's just giving. You can listen 24/7, online and listen to tips and music and podcasts or you can join live like Russell, Tass, and Jamie have today. And we want to hear what you have to say. So we are including them in this conversation. You don't just log in and say hi. But if you have a question, you can text us, 970-682-3424. You can email us and ask questions like we've been listening to today. ask@voradioonline.com. Or, as I said, you can Zoom or call in during our live shows. We're live on Fridays, Mondays, and Wednesdays. VO Talk Radio, I believe. Talk VO. No, what is it? VO Talk? I just show up.
Let's talk VO. You got it.
VO, there we go. But we're here on Tubies on Friday. So, and just go to the website, look for Tubies, and it'll show you right there where you have to, what you have to do to log in. You can also see audition and contests there. You can audition for scripts, and we will critique your read on Mondays. You can also audition for Day in the Life, where we want to hear how you got started. You'd be amazed at how your story can resonate with other people. And it can be extremely helpful, and it's good for you to get heard and get out there. So feel free to audition for a Day in the Life. We can't do this without our sponsors. So we have to once again thank The Borg. The VoiceOver Collective, VoiceOver Extra, and of course, Nava. I would like to say that we have a question mailer. So
I think what we'll do is, since I've spaced out our Who's That Voice, and a listener just actually texted in and say, what is Who's That Voice? Let's go ahead and do Who's That Voice, and then we'll come back and do the question. How's that sound, everybody?
Okay, well, Who's That Voice? Let's have a listen.
This week's Who's That Voice is sponsored by...
What's the key to being a successful voiceover? Well, it's twofold. Acting with your unique and authentic being, and marketing. Be consistent with growing and honing your skills to beat out the AI monster we're all facing, and marketing. The million-dollar question is, how do you master these skills? Of course, you hire a good coach who's been in the biz, who's been down this road, and can help you avoid pitfalls and rabbit holes. I'm Diana Birdsall, coach and voice actor. Get in touch at diana@dianabirdsall.com.
Who's that voice? I beg your pardon. Do you have a knack for knowing a voice? Can you recognize a voice with your eyes closed?
Oh, I just rescued a tiger.
VO Radio wants to give you a chance to win free coaching, online courses, and other great stuff.
Greetings, Earthlings.
Listen to Let's Talk VO and VO Tubi for the weekly voice of the day.
There's a secret mission.
Then fill out the Who's That Voice contest entry, and you'll be added into our weekly drawing on the Let's Talk VO Live the following Monday.
I think that I've lived like 3 lives.
Now let's test your ability to recognize a voice with this week's Who's That Voice?
All right, I'll head it back to you, Bev. Tell them what they need to do.
Just go to the website, VO Online Radio, VoRadioOnline.com, and you go to contests, and you go to Who's That Voice, and you fill in your information and the name of the actor you're about to hear.
All right, you got it. Here we go.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and you win a prize. I believe this week's prize is a session with Anthony Reese. Our one and only.
Yep, it's the intermediate course, actually, a VO 101. And so, and we got all kinds of great prizes about to bring the launch, including the one that our own Russell Eco just won with Bev, an hour of her private coaching. So you get really good stuff here. I'm telling you, it's $100 and something value, if not even more each time. So anyways, back to the voice. Here it comes.
You know, I've been around for a while. Met some interesting people. Done some crazy things. So you just might think that there's not much that can take me by surprise. You'd be wrong. The world is full of stories, science, and things that amaze and confound me. Every single day, incredible mysteries that keep me awake at night. Some I can answer. Others just defy logic.
All right. So there you go. Right. So they go to the website, like you said, they go to the listeners tab. They go down to where it says contest. Self-explanatory, fill out the form, submit it, and then Monday we randomly draw before the show whoever won for Monday and Wednesday and Friday of this week's entries, and that person is going to win that prize. And then the same thing starts next Monday, a new voice, and then Wednesday, and then Friday, and then the following Monday the gift is given away, the prize is given away. So all kinds of great stuff you can walk away with. So back to you. Let's go ahead if you want, and we can do another email if you want to do that.
I would love to. I have a special magic pouch. Are you ready? It says, this question is from Sam in Texas, and I'm not going to insult you with my Texas accent, so I won't. Sam's question is it okay to share casting with other voice talent for a percentage? Now, I would just like to say, my first response to that when I read it was like, oh, no, it's your colleague, it's your friend. But there's so much more to that. So if you get asked, that my trick is, if I get asked to find somebody for somebody, I would probably include a casting fee. But if somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, Bev, we hired you last time, but, do you have any males that we could work with? Sometimes, depending on my client, I'll say, let me see what I can find out for you. And I won't do it for a percentage because I really like my client and I want to keep them and I'm just trying to help them. They're not replacing me. They're just adding to it. So it's kind of it depends how much work is involved. If it's just hey, here's some names, you reach out to them. No, I would never take a percentage. If I have to go through and do the casting process and send them scripts and listen and narrow it down, my time is worth money. So there's a time and place. If that's an answer, Anthony, I know you have a slightly different opinion than I do.
I think you kind of clarified that pretty good for what my opinion is. Basically, it is one of the kind of things, if you were going to act as a proxy casting director for a client of yours, that's a little bit different because they are your client. You are trying to get an attaboy. You are trying to get a good old boy club, losing the Texas twang bit. But the reality is, if that's a regular client that you're just trying to help out, or you have a cold, or you're going to be out of town that week or whatever have you, and you have a good BFF or somebody that you want to share the love with and then set them up, then there's nothing wrong with that. That's, I think, an ethical thing to do. Like you said, client retention. However, if it's a one-off prospect who hasn't really worked with you much or doesn't send you regular work, and they're reaching out to you from a friend of a friend, and you don't really know this person, you don't really know what is it, and you can't pull the job off, then I think there's where you kind of dip into it and you say, hey, I got a project potentially for you. A casting came in, doesn't fit me. Send me your audition and I'll submit it on your behalf. Then I think it's okay to say, here's what I'll do. I'll take 10% of a fee or something. The whole idea is an agent will do it. Every other agent who has a client regularly is going to charge you a percentage, no matter how long you've been there on their roster. That's all about the Benjamin. So I think that you're right, is an ethical way to do it. And there's also a business way to do it. If you're acting as a casting director, then that's different. If you're helping them just with strangers, cast a net, so to say. But I think it's twofold. So I kind of agree with both of what we're saying is it depends on, like you hammered home. I think your idea of it really depends on the scenario you're in. If it's a regular client you're trying to retain and do them a good deed, or if it's somebody you don't really know that often, then I would say don't be afraid to reach out to Stacy and say, Stacy, I got a really bad COVID cold this week, but how would you like to do this gig? And if I land it on your behalf, give me 10% of what they pay you. So if they pay her $1,000, you get $100 and say she buys you lunch or a business card or a gift card at Walmart or whatever. I don't know. So
Stacy, what's your thoughts on that?
It's my turn.
And your thoughts on the previous one too, if you really
Yeah. I'm like one of those those blow up advertising things on the side of the freeway that's going like this. That's always me, but it's hard to find, my way in there, but I don't care. I'll wait. Okay, so on this topic, I'm glad to be introduced to this thought because it hasn't been presented to me. I never thought about this before, about being involved in some kind of transaction like that. At this point, I give a lot of referrals, and I'm starting to get a lot of referrals, and I really appreciate that. It's so fun. From one of my contacts, they go, hey, I heard about this casting, and they'll send me this link, or I know so-and-so who's casting for this. That is so nice. And you know what? I'm glad to be exposed to this topic here on the show, because if I'm presented with a scenario where someone says, I know about this, I can't do it, and I'd like to take a percentage, at least it won't be new information for me. I'll be like, that's something to consider. Okay, circling back to Shay from Georgia and the training question, I got this great compliment from Anthony, and then no one came back to me. I was like, thanks for the compliment.
Sorry, that would have been Anthony himself to cut you out of that break. So,
okay, wait, just one thought though. When you're new, okay, I'm speaking from experience, but everyone lives on YouTube and everything, and I scoured YouTube. I don't think there was anything related to voiceover that I didn't see on YouTube when I was brand spanking new, because sometimes, like Bev said, you just don't know where to start, and you don't even know what your questions are, and you don't even know what you don't know. So by the time you talk to your first person, you've seen a lot of information. There's a ton of opinions out there, a ton of different approaches. And the one thing that really bugs me are the people who are selling you this canned,
right.
Get started in this voiceover side gig.
Make six figures, yeah.
Exactly. Or you can do all this by recording on ACX, like it's this package deal, and it's not. Right. It's really just the start of your journey. So don't get caught up in that in the very beginning. It's all in evolution. So everyone you find along the way is exactly where you need to be at that time. And so wherever you start, that's really good. But by the time I made it to Anthony, he helped me put the different puzzle pieces that I had from all these different schools of thought into place so it made sense so I could go forward.
Organize them, yep.
I want to jump. Wonderful, Stacy, and I agree with Anthony, which is why I didn't jump in, because you are fabulous and you've come so far in such an early thing. But can we jump forward to Sam's question for a sec?
Yeah,
because
go for it.
And just be respectful of the time. Let's go down. Jamie, welcome. My question to you is, would you be offended if I said, hey, Jamie, I've got a client that's looking for a voice. I'm asking for 3 or 4 people. If you submit, can I take a percentage? If I asked you that, how would you respond?
I would assume that's how things are.
Right.
Okay, well then that works. I'll send you out to everybody.
And the great thing is we have all of us here as mentors on VO Radio. If you were approached with a question like this and you were blindsided and you didn't know what to say, you have all of us as your resource.
Oh, I would definitely ask you. I'd be messaging Bev. No, I do.
Yeah.
Cass, what do you think? Do you think that that's the thing to do?
Actually, I wouldn't have a problem with that because I'd be getting a piece of it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Russell?
Throw them under the... No, I was just kidding. Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely believe, and again, just from the beginner standpoint and my perspective, there's been a lot that I've accomplished as a beginner, and I will make no attest to saying it's all my skill. It's been through countless blessings from people, from opportunities that have presented themselves. I might be doing the work, but I'm not full of myself. I know I'm new. So yeah, I would definitely do anything that I could help, even if it meant percentages for, friends, if I was ever in that position right now or later on down the way.
Yeah, I definitely,
And
I definitely like where you're going with it, Bev, because it really, like I said earlier, it really depends, in my opinion, it really depends on the scenario, what the situation is. If it's a really good friend of yours, then you're probably just trying to do each other favors. If you play pickleball with them, or they're a bowling team, or there's a friend, that's different. But if it's somebody that is more of an acquaintance, or somebody you know in the industry, don't you really have a rapport with yet, I think it's a great opportunity to potentially say, hey, oh, here's what I got. And then if you want to, if you're okay with that, I wouldn't mind like a 10% finder fee for you. And I think also what you're going to find in return is, like Stacey was hitting at, the people that feel like they're going to benefit financially off you are probably going to come back to you more often and share the love back and forth with you if you can make each other a few bucks here and there. So I don't know. I think you brought up a really good angle of thinking of this, Bev, for sure.
Well, and I think if I look back, there's a number of scenarios. There's a listener out there who I won't say her name, but one time she was, hi, so and so, I need you to do this job, and they were just unavailable. So they referred me. I booked the job, and I don't believe to this day that that person took any money. Now, I have bought this person hundreds of coffees, so I don't feel bad, but but they come back every year to update this same spot. So, but I've also been in a position where I've done the casting, and your time is money. So the answer is, it okay? Yes, it's okay, but you do have to be specific. I got hired a 10-year-old boy. He was perfect for the job. He did the job. I had to have him into my studio. I had to record him. I had to direct him. I had to edit the audio. I had to send it out. And did I get a nickel? Not one penny did I get. It all went to the kid, because to me, it was okay. I volunteered.
Again, that's the scenario. Yeah.
He wasn't training to be a voice actor. He was just perfect for the spot.
Right.
I wanted my client to be happy. That client still comes back to me. So
awesome stuff.
But yes, it's okay. And I think if you look at that, the answer is very simple. Yes, it's okay. But you can pick and choose, and it's got some flexibility.
I think that's gold, man, for sure. Hey, Sam, there you go. That's definitely a good feedback from everybody, including our guests, which again, thanks Russell Eagle for being here, Kathleen Taz Harn from being here, and Jamie Hill for coming in at the last couple of minutes. We're going to wrap up things right on time today, hopefully here. I'm going to go around the horn, let everybody give their final thoughts, and as we always do. So what do you think, Stacey Barrow? What's on your final thought list?
Oh my gosh. Keep training. Keep training, keep taking classes, keep watching the show, keep showing up, on our live shows, everything, because you know what? The learning never stops, and it's amazing. Keep going.
Well said. Bev Standing, final thoughts.
Participate in groups, participate in VO Radio Online. We'd love to see you. We'd love to meet you. And you know what? You're not just getting to say hi to us. Boy, that sounds egotistical. You're not just getting to say, but you're getting yourself out there, and you're letting people know, and you're sharing your thoughts, which can only help other people that are too shy, too busy, not able to join live because they've just got a thing in their ear, they're watching a replay. But you're helping, you're already paying it forward, which to me, you're doing it right from the start. So thank you.
Awesome. Great. Hey, one quick plug. Have you sold those last 2 seats at VO Atlanta?
I have, but there is a wait list. You never know. Things happen. So X session for corporate reads, I've geared it to newcomers. But I'm also, if you want to stop by, I'm doing a breakout session on e-learning and how to sound human, because that's kind of important these days.
Nice. Really cool. Hey, let's go with our 3 guests who had the brave courage to come in and be part of our victimization. Russell, you have any final thoughts you want to share, Russell?
Sure. My final thought would be to make sure that you connect with good people in the industry. There, just as Anthony had positioned, there are some people out there that they shouldn't be saying that they're voice actors or voice acting professionals. So seek out the professionals, seek out good people, and connect with them, because those are the network resources that will not make the difference necessarily just based on your career, but will make a difference in your life.
Nice. Very good. Kathleen Harn, what are your thoughts? Do you have any final ones?
I was just going to emphasize to just, keep on training, be on the lookout for coaches that will, resonate with you. And then I just have a little quote. I don't know who said this, but it just is a little, pick me up for the ones that are out there and trying to get it done, is that success is a state of mind. If you want success, then start thinking of yourself as successful.
Wow.
Oh,
Well
nice.
said. Yeah. Round of applause. I wish I had an effect that'd be hitting the auditorium screen. Really good. Good food for thought. With her cat in her lap, Jamie Hill, what's your final thoughts, Jamie?
Gosh, well, I feel like a newbie. I started, 5 years ago? I went on Clubhouse. So, network, you guys. I found Mark Redfield on Clubhouse and got an audiobook. Boom. Right? Go to YouTube, watch the social media, go to these Zoom calls, interact with people, let them hear what you sound like. Because, sometimes we don't I sound like a kid.
You did right there. That was a
I
great
know,
job.
I know. And I'm 48. So
Cool.
nobody's going to know who you are until you go out there and talk to people. So just do it.
Well said.
And Kathleen, success. I love that. I love that because now I'm doing it. You got to have the
Awesome.
confident attitude. Thanks for
Awesome.
having me, guys. Sorry I was a
Thanks
little
for
late.
being part of it. Hey, everybody, you've been watching another VO2B simulcast over the VO Radio platform. You can hear the playback and watch the playback both on VO Radio on-demand playbacks and also by going to our YouTube channel within 24 hours typically takes. And we will put the entire video up on our channel so you can take a look at what you missed if you haven't participated. You should. You can zoom in and call in on the next one. And don't forget, Monday is our very next Let's Talk VO at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And then Wednesday, same thing. And you can watch the new Tubi next Friday and be part of the Tubi experience here. So, hey, thanks for being part of our journey. And make sure you go to VORadioonline.com and check out all the ways you can participate. We're up to like 7 different things you can be involved in and participate in. So, hey, thanks for listening, and we shall see